Super excited that you've chosen to join us today. I just want to give you kind of an intro into what we're going to be talking about today. There are a million ways we could approach the holiday, and I want to get back to basics, kind of the nuts and bolts of Valentine's Day. So we're going to get into the planning. How do you plan for this holiday? How do you prep for the holiday in the weeks before the holiday? When you actually get down to it, what's the production method that you want to use? And then some of the pitfalls, and that's the biggest thing in my book. What are the pitfalls that you want to avoid when it comes to Valentine's Day? So we'll get started with the planning. As I mentioned, I work for a very, very large shop in Dayton, Ohio, First the Florist. And we're actually starting right now to do some of our planning for Valentine's Day. We're knee deep in our holiday 2-week different looking open house. And it just started on Monday of this week. And so even in the middle of holiday and Valentine's Day, Thanksgiving, we're still thinking ahead to Valentine's Day. So when should you start planning for the holiday? Actually, it's a little bit late for this right now. If you haven't started planning for the holiday, think of this as steps that you're going to take once you get to after Valentine's Day. So Valentine's Day planning should actually start Valentine's Day the day after. February 15th, maybe not February 15th, maybe the 16th or 17th once you've cleaned up all of your Valentine's Day orders. I know we at the shop often have an influx. And we're still delivering Valentine's Day sometimes for those last minute people on the day after or even 2 days after. So what we're going to do this year after Valentine's Day, take really accurate notes. Many of you already do this. Take really accurate notes after the holiday. What did you do right? What went super well? What went wrong? What was the weather like? Did you have a foot of snow? Was it freezing? Was it sunny and 70 degrees like it was here yesterday? Were you short-staffed? Did you have enough advanced people, delivery drivers? We use contract drivers at the shop in addition to our regular drivers. Did you arrange for those in advance? Could you have used a few more? Were you limited in the number of orders that you could take by your production or by your delivery? These are all great things that you need to keep track of. Were there any special circumstances of the holiday? Did you have a power outage? Did you have weather conditions that you need to make note of? And over and above all that, did you have a surplus of flowers at the end? Did you over order? What could you have done to avoid that? So when you take a look after the holiday, what I want you to do this year in particular is write up the perfect order for the holiday that you just had in the day or week after the Valentine's Day holiday. So if you could write the perfect order for the things that you sold, write that order for the one that you just wrapped up while it's fresh in your mind. Of course, when you get to the next holiday, so at the end of this holiday 2021, you're going to be starting planning for 2022. I know that seems like a long way off, but the more planning you can have under your belt, the smoother your holiday will go. Of course, when you get to 2022, you're going to revisit that and you're going to revise that. Market conditions will change. Trends may change with the influx of social media. Trends change on a dime. So we need to be aware of that and we need to adjust our orders when we see that happening. So ideally, if you can start planning your in-house promotions 3 to 6 months in advance. I know that timeline seems crazy, but if you can get a head start a quarter to a half a year before the event, you're going to have a much smoother planning process. So what that would look like, in the downtime in the summer or the fall months where you might not be as busy, you can start planning what your Valentine's Day in-house promotions might look like. We will take a look at different price points, and so we will create those in-house promotions 3 to 6 months in advance if we can. Now I know these timelines are, they're the ideal. You're going to find what works best for you. But the most important thing is that you get into a rhythm that you can maintain year after year. So 3 to 6 months before the Valentine's Day and Mother's holiday, maybe you're planning those in-house promotions. 3 to 6 months before your Thanksgiving and Christmas, maybe you're planning those in-house promotions. Bottom line is, get into a regular rhythm that works for you. So what you're going to do, if you can, create and photograph those promotional things that you're going to have available. We're also going to give them a really nice name. Sometimes we have some internal pet names for our in-house promotions that we only refer to them in-house. That's a whole other seminar. But we're going to design those, plan the menus for those, so that you can plan the pricing and the sourcing of your materials. Take a photo of that best shows off not only the container, the design. You're going to have those at the ready. So when you go to promoting the holiday, you'll be all ready with all of your images already there. You can upload those to your social media. You can upload those to your website to promote your offerings. Now, if you do write that perfect flower order in the days or weeks right after the holiday while it's fresh in your mind, you should have your flower order ready to go 2 to 3 months in advance. Now, is this the time you're going to actually share it with your wholesaler? Check with them. They might want your flower order 2 to 3 months in advance. I've spoken with several wholesalers across the country. One says, we really expect that our florists don't want to hear from us about Valentine's Day until after they get through Christmas. But really, that's the end of December. So at least 6 weeks in advance. But if you can get your Valentine's Day order to them even earlier, better for them. What your wholesaler and your local suppliers have to do is book the product, arrange for freight, travel time, processing. They need to get all of that underway, and the earlier that you can get that information to them, the better. So bottom line is, if 2 to 3 months isn't the time frame that works best for you, check with your wholesalers, check with your suppliers. Many of us haven't even asked them, when would you ideally want my order? So double check with them. And I find that at the very least, right after Christmas is a great time to have your order into your wholesaler for Valentine's Day. Don't wait until 2 weeks prior. You'll get better product selection the more in advance that you plan that. When you're creating your promotional offerings, you know your customer base better than anyone. You know if you cater to a younger market, if you cater to a more mature market. Also, you want to have some designs that are designed for the clientele that you want to attract. So you're not only creating to your existing customer base, but have a few things that might, if you have a more mature customer base, create a few things that are a little edgier, a little more fun or playful for a younger audience. You're also going to want to create your in-house offerings or your promotional offerings at several different price points. You might have some things that are more grab and go for retail, for customers that come into your store. You might have, we always create something we call the wow. It's a big wow arrangement, and it's going to be a higher price point. We're not afraid of that. At Valentine's Day, we have a lot of people who are willing to spend a lot of money. We'll go into some of the things in the pitfalls section that are some of my pet peeves about selling to your customers, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But you definitely want to have things from simple grab-and-go things on the counter to very extravagant and elaborate offerings. And you want to showcase these, in particular on your website and in your social media when you promote before the holiday. Even within certain categories, for example, roses, we're going to have our standard roses, and then we're going to have the next grade up, maybe a little more elaborate, and then we're going to have the big wow of roses. What does that look like for you? What sells in your market? So you want to take a look at that, take stock in not only your existing customers, but the customers that you want to attract. So for 2021, Valentine's Day falls on a Sunday. Typically, as a retail florist, we would normally plan on about a 20% decrease in sales when Valentine's Day falls on a Sunday. Honestly, I don't think that's going to be the case this year. We are in a completely different world right now. So we need to be aware that many other options for holiday giving, like dinner out, aren't going to be as accessible. So that might shift some of the gift giving for Valentine's Day over to floral. So Valentine's Day falls on a Sunday, but how is this going to impact your specific business? What will you do to adapt? I hear a lot of shops say, we're not open on Sunday. We don't even consider being open on Sunday. And if that's your choice, then that is your choice. But consider what sales you might lose if you're not open. So will you offer Sunday deliveries? Will you only be open for in-store purchases? Each shop needs to assess what works best for them. If Sunday is an off-limits day for you, I respect that. What are some other ways that you can partner with local businesses and maybe still have some sales out there, even though your retail shop might not be open on Sunday? So bottom line, each of you need to assess what works best and be open to new ideas and ways of doing business. At the end of this presentation, we're going to give you some direction to a checklist. And in that checklist, there's a lot of fantastic marketing and cross-promotional things. Cross-promotion might be a great way to expand what you can offer if you choose not to be open on this Valentine's Day Sunday. Also want to avoid the rut thinking. I walked into a wholesale florist, and on the walls in the conference room, there was a phrase, the most dangerous words in the English language. We've always done it this way. This year in particular, we cannot always do things the way we have always done them. So we have to be open to new ways of thinking, be flexible to this new market that we find ourselves in, and really stop and think, are we going to do business the way we've always done it? And if we do so, are we going to lose out on potential business? We have to really change the way we're thinking about how we operate in 2021. This year, it is possible because we have a lot of supply shortages. Many of you have found some floral supply shortages in the market, not only in fresh, but possibly in hard goods as well. We need to be prepared for this. So there may be a possible vase shortage. We're seeing in lots of different areas, we're seeing some of these hard good shortages. So we need to be prepared for that. And we need to seek out really anything that holds water or anything that holds foam. So we can have enough containers so we can produce arrangements for the holidays. So just be very flexible. I know in past holidays, we've started out with one specific container and it would be a banner seller. Once that container sold out, what do we do? Well, then we would pivot to another container that was very similar, still keep the design and still promote that arrangement. So we really need to think like that this year as well. When we're planning for the holiday, at our shop, it's a very large shop, but even in a large shop, space is at a premium. So for design space, for our designers to work, and for storage of the finished products, you have to get super creative and plan that out in advance. Are you going to need rental refrigeration? Are you going to have to bring in a refrigerated truck to handle the overflow of pre-prepped product that you're going to be sending out? Will you need to bring in temporary shelving? Do you need additional design space? We get very creative in some of the shop areas, and we convert a lot of things. And one year, I remember we even converted our garden center greenhouse into a large production space. We had heating out there, and I remember probably 10, 11 years ago, designing out in a greenhouse. So whatever space is available to you. Some of you have very small spaces, and you really need to get super creative and reimagine. Maybe you need to design in the showroom. Maybe that would be a good draw for your customers to see you designing. So all these things you definitely need to plan in advance.